much, Mr. Chairman. Again, thank you, Admiral Rogers, for not only your testimony but your service. I have a series of questions, and I think they require just sort of yes or no answers. The mission of national mission teams under DoD cyber strategies to blunt cyber attacks against the United States have, quote, significant consequences. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay. The Russia's...
Although, if I could, I'd phrase it as that's an accurate mission for cyber command. We haven't necessarily defined it specifically down on the team level, but I understand the point you're trying to make, sir.
Now, is Russia's ongoing campaign to steal and leak confidential information from our candidates, political parties, to plant and amplify misinformation in social media, to break into state election board networks of significant consequence to our national security?
Certainly if successful.
Yes. Do you agree with the DNI Coates testimony that they will continue to conduct cyber operations to achieve strategic objectives unless they face clear repercussions?
Yes, sir, and that was my testimony as well in that hearing.
Is Russia attempting to achieve a strategic objective by influence U.S. public opinion in elections?
Yes, sir, I believe they're attempting to undermine our institutions.
Now, aside from our intelligence agencies operating under a presidential funding, are there any other organizations other than the Cyber Command Cyber Mission Forces that have the authority and capability to disrupt Russian election hacking operations where they originate? Does the FBI, DHS, or the states, the private sector, have such authorities or capabilities?
You could argue probably only again, that there's a legal aspect to this that I'm not the most qualified, but probably you'd argue some combination of DOD, DOJ have the standing authority in that regard.
But the mission teams, particularly at the origin of these attacks, have the authority to do so.
If granted the authority, and I don't have the day-to-day authority to do that, if granted the authority.
So you would need basically to be directed by the President through the Secretary of Defense?
Yes, sir. In fact, I mentioned that in my statement.
Have you been directed to do so, given the strategic threat that faces the United States and the significant consequences you recognize already?
No, I have not, but if I could flesh this out, I'll say something in an open unclassified. I'd be glad to go into more details in a classified. Based on the authority that I have as a commander, I have directed the National Mission Force to begin some specific work. I'd rather not publicly go into that using the authorities that I retain as a commander in this mission space.
So as inherent ability of a commander to prepare, plan,
Yes, sir.
and structure, but you need the direct authority of the President through the Secretary of Defense
To do some specific things.
some specific authority.
There are some things I have the authority, and I am acting within that authority now, not waiting.
But essentially we have not taken on the Russians yet. We're watching them intrude in our elections, spread misinformation, become more sophisticated, try to achieve strategic objectives that you have recognized, and we're just essentially sitting back and waiting.
I don't know if I would characterize it as we're sitting back and waiting, but I will say it's probably, and again, I apologize, I don't want to get into the classified here. It's probably fair to say that we have not opted to engage in some of the same behaviors that we are seeing, if I could just keep it.
No, it's one searches for sort of historical analogies, but, you know, we have in the past seen threats building, but at some point, particularly when they've manifested themselves, which they already have in 2016, we've taken action. We've not just continued to watch.
Right, no, we are doing some things.
Let's go back to the brief time I have remaining of an issue that is, I think, consistent throughout your testimony and the Chairman's comments, and that is the technological aspects, which you do pretty well, and the cognitive issues, you know, the message versus the medium. We are all over the place in terms of fragmentation. Is there any effort to pull that together? And let me maybe focus on a specific point. You know, you're trying within DOD to sort of get everybody lined up. Then the SecDef and the administration are trying to line up all the other parties. There's one, you know, from my experience in banking, the Treasury Department has a fin center, which is designed to be disruptive of financial transactions, designed to, you know, it's not just ideas, it's money that motivates the...
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. So, in your view, are you coordinating with them adequately? Two, do they have adequate resources on their own to be an effective force to disrupt illegal financing and to monitor sanctions?
So I'm not knowledgeable enough about the specific level of capability and resources, but I will say we, both Cyber Command and NSA as well, spent a lot of time working with our Treasury counterparts about developing insights and knowledge through cyber and other means that give them insight that enable them to take action.
Do you think they're effective?
Oh, I think the economic broader efforts that I've seen undertaken are positive, and you've seen them against a host of actors out there.
Thank you.